Well, congratulations on the film, guys. I've got to say, I really enjoyed it. And well, for Jonas and for Sean, it's not exactly the first time that you worked together, is it? I mean, I think I counted about 4 or 5 other instances. You will probably tell me that there's more.
There are quite a few.
If you include short films, and I think we're up to like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
But this is our seventh. Well, this was our 6th feature film together. We've since shot a 7th, but your math was pretty close.
Okay, not bad, not bad. So why do you work together so regularly? What is it about the dynamic that just sort of clicks?
Well, we're both such difficult individuals that no one else will work with us. So in the end, it's, we're like the last 2 picked for the baseball team, and so we end up.
Now give me a serious answer.
oh, that is serious. No,
it's semi-serious then.
It's funny, I just before we got on with you, I was having a conversation with these guys, and we were talking about the way Sean likes to work as a director and as a filmmaker, and I was telling Justin, our producer, as an actor, I get to work with all kinds of directors on many films, and I've had great experiences with so many. But there's a level of artistry that this man brings to the work, where even when we're filming something like a wacky sex comedy, he embodies it with integrity and ideas and themes, and he challenges everyone on the production, from the production designer to the producer to the actors, to really explore something meaningful. So that level of artistry is hard to come by. And when you find it, certainly for me as a writer and as an actor, there's nobody I would rather sort of collaborate with than this joker right here.
There is, none of that is true, of course. There is, but also a sense for me that, I find Jonas Chernick very funny. And, there are moments where, there's lots of moments in this film, actually in all of our films, but where there's little reactions and stuff that you do that I'm like, even though no one finds them funny, like on the 40th watch, you're like, oh, look at that subtle little thing he's doing. That's actually hilarious. And so when he runs out of ways to amuse me, we will stop working together. But until then.
And I'll try to give you a serious answer, because I'm the first it's the first time working with these guys, but there is camaraderie, I think, between these guys. I don't know how you first met, but these guys, they're like brothers, really, and they've done a lot together, I think, because there's just that magic friendship that they keep coming back to each other.
I was going to ask you for your view, because I didn't want you to sit there and feel left out, so that you jumped in first, which was great. So Jonas, you played the husband, and you're both writer and actor in this film, and it's not the first time that you've done that either. I wondered what the challenges were that go with doing both. I mean, do you find that having written the script, it's sort of set in stone, or when you start actually making the film, does it actually change as you go along?
It changes a lot, and one of my guiding principles is that the writing process is the writing process, and if you have a director that you trust and you believe in, as I do with Sean, once we show up on set, I no longer consider myself the writer. He becomes the writer of the film, in a sense, and I hand that script over, and then I put on my actor hat, which, by the way, is my favorite hat to wear, and is the reason why I suffer through the agony of writing, is so that I get to play these characters that I create for myself. And Sean's the writer of the film, and so if we're on set and a scene, we're rehearsing a scene and getting ready to film it, and it's not working, and the words that I've written just aren't coming out of the actors' mouths in a natural way, or it's not finding the emotional truth, Sean will, and has many times, throw the scene away and kind of start from scratch. So then I'm just playing like the other actors. We're figuring out how to accomplish what we set out to accomplish. And so there's a freedom there that comes, I think, exclusively with the sort of trust that Sean and I have, which is sort of a carryover from your last question.
So
and once in a while, there's when we're working in the writing process, and Jonas is doing all the writing and he's sending me scripts, and I'm looking when we're sort of talking about them and stuff. There is a real advantage to be able to sort of say, Jonas will be having trouble with a scene, and I'll be like, well, take off your writing hat for a second and just pretend you're breaking this down to play it. And I think, you'll see where it's not. And he's like, right. And he goes away and comes back 2 days later. And he's like, solved it, right? Because he just switched over the hat.
Yeah. So what made you want to make, all three of you, to make this particular film?
Well, Sean and I made a film 10 years ago, a sex comedy called My Awkward Sexual Adventure, which, by the way, is currently available in the UK on iTunes and Amazon and Google Play.
Plug.
But I didn't and we made this film, and we had a great experience, and the film found some success. And a lot of people asked us afterwards, oh, when are you guys going to make another sex comedy? And we didn't really have anything else to say at that point. And we went off and did other things. But we were kind of trying to develop an idea. And ultimately, we put it on the shelf and kind of gave it up. And it was collecting dust until I had a general meeting with Justin here, our producer. And he said, hey, Jonas, do you have anything that we could work on together? And he gave like a checklist of what he was looking for in a film. And as he's reading off the checklist, it should have this, and if it had this, that'd be great. Maybe it had this. I'm doing the checks in my head, going, "Oh my God, I think I have the project that he's looking for." And I got out of that meeting, called Sean. I was like, "Man, I think we might have a home for this project." And so we dusted it off and kind of polished it up and made a bunch of changes and kind of got back into it. And we gave it to Justin, and never before have I had this kind of immediate response from a producer or a financier. He read the script, and literally within a couple of months, we were rolling cameras and making the film. So you'd have to ask him what he saw in it. I have no idea.
Well, I think it's romantic comedies do tend to be sort of guilty pleasures, but there's that relatable grain of truth that people don't talk about, I think, in this concept, that I immediately went, oh, that's a really unique, interesting take. And of course, Jonas has such a fun, unique voice, and I had been a fan of Sean's work in different capacities in my career over the years. So I was familiar with these guys. I certainly was a fan of My Awkward Sexual Adventure. And we were looking for, I'm the CEO of a company called Vortex Media. We're a production company as well as a distribution company. So last year we made 8 movies. One of them, of course, was The End of Sex, because we made that at the top of 2022. We were looking for a script. And when this came along, we're like, yeah, we can do that. How are you available right now? So we literally, as Jonas said, I think that was in September. I read it in August. We started talking about making it, pretty quickly, and then we had it up and running by January.
So that checklist of yours, was Emily Hampshire on it as well? She was in the
aberrant sexuality, ponies, goats. It's a weird list. Strawberries.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. No, it was pretty vague, but it had some specifics about genre, some specifics about kind of, relationship dynamics, that kind of stuff.
But it did help that so Emily Hampshire was in the film I've referenced that I was plugging 10 years ago. We worked with her then, and Sean and I worked with her since. We cast her in another one of our films a few years later.
Big fans.
And we're big fans of her. We love her, and she's like family. Lucky for us, she's had some success, enormous success in the last few years.
What was that in, I wonder? Yeah.
Yes, you may have heard of a little TV show called Schitt's Creek.
It's great, yeah.
So for us, it was kind of a no-brainer. I'd even kind of named the character after her, and so it was just a phone call to our old pal Emily. But it worked out well because she brings a certain spotlight to the film that I think really helps us find an audience and is appealing to people. And we've had people here in Glasgow say, "Oh yeah, I'm coming to, hey, I know your movie. I'm coming to see it. I'm a big fan of Emily Hampshire." So for us, that's kind of an added bonus. We just get to work with our friend who we adore and admire, and we think she's a comedic genius. So it works out for everyone.
I met someone the other night who said that they were that their cousin or somebody had been a stunt double for Emily on The Rig.
Oh yeah, sure.
Did that shoot around?
Yes, it's shot.
Oh, okay.
So it's a UK. That's a
Yeah, I knew that Emily was a big star when my grandma knew who she was. My grandma's in her 90s.
What?
And she was like, "Oh yeah, that's Stevie," you know?
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right."
So it's a film that sort of mixes up the genres a little bit, because it's a rom-com in a sense, it's a sex comedy. It's also a comedy of awkwardness, not just in terms of what they do, but actually the sort of fallout that comes from what they do as well. So I wondered, Sean, what was the most awkward scene for you to direct?
Well, that is a question. Most awkward scene to direct. You know, it may have actually been the first sex scene that happens within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Between Jonas and Emily, precisely because we were trying to make it awkward and not good. We wanted to make a sex scene that somehow would recall to people, because I mean, everyone in their lives, one would, except for me, of course, but everyone has good sex and bad sex.
Right.
I only have good sex, but I've heard
Yeah, of course.
that, and so, but you're trying to, you know, you have a couple of actors, and you're trying to make it look like not fun
sexy.
and not sexy.
Yeah.
They are naked and vulnerable because you're on set together, and it was a tough balance to, you know, and you're trying to get people to do something that is very, very, very intimate, and yet you have to sort of speak about it like a clinician between takes about where this hand goes and where this goes and where that goes. And, you know, I'm very happy with the scene, the way that it turned out. But yeah, if I had to pick one, I think that's.
Yeah. And Jonas, what was the most awkward scene for you to appear in?
You know, I wish I could say that any of them were awkward. Awkward sexual comedy seems to, by default, have become my thing in Canada. And Emily and I, being really good friends and having done lots of awkward sex scenes in the past, we just kind of jumped in feet first. And really, we just love doing that. There was no level of discomfort between her and I, even though it certainly looks that way on camera, which is what we're going for.
Yeah, was it? I think when I got the script, when I was like, we were making this movie, I told my wife, "Oh, Jonas and I are making another movie." She was like, "Is he gonna be naked again?" I was like, "He is actually." She's like, "What is it with you guys?"
I mean, I'd say I answered your question. The hardest scenes to do, which is sort of why I'm an actor, so I embrace that challenge, would have been the more emotionally vulnerable scenes that weren't about being naked at all. I mean, that Emily and I had some really intense scenes where I think both of us were trying to draw from past experiences, past relationships, you know, about that sensation or that feeling that you're not connected, or that it's not working, or that anxiety and fear getting in the way of true romantic connection or love. And so both of us were pulling from experience, and because we know each other so well and we've shared with each other, you know, we're friends, so we've shared with each other details of our lives and challenges and things we've gone through. So some of that stuff was very safe space, and Sean manages a very safe set. But some of that stuff, I guess, I have to say that was probably the most challenging.
Now, I will interject here, because I seem to remember it wasn't always that way, right? I think these guys, I first came across these guys on a film called Inertia. I seem to remember you telling me a story where maybe that wasn't as much the case.
Oh wow!
Am I setting you up for? Is that the story?
I'll burn through it, so it's very quick. But the first film Sean and I made 25 years ago, our debut, the idea that Sean pitched me on the movie, it's called Inertia. He said the opening scene of the movie is, Jonas, you are being dumped by the woman you love. And he's like, and I've got this great vision. She's going to be fully clothed, layers and layers of Canadian winter wear, and you're going to be buck naked, and it's the vulnerability of the nudity. And I thought, oh, this man is what an artist. That's going to be great. And so we developed that script and that project for like a year. And finally, we're on set on the day. The crew's there, the cameras are there, and it's time for me to take off all my clothes and be naked. And I caved, and Sean found me huddled somewhere in a closet, you know, in the fetal position, weeping. And I can't, Sean, I can't do it, even though it had been a year. So I think that's what he's doing.
In
Right.
contrast to the previous answer, you can see the arc of your.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yes, definitely. Definitely. Well, guys, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time. Wish you every success with the film, and of course, enjoy your premiere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.